Hey guys, it's Karen. I never thought my effort towards helping out in the pandemic would be making masks and not beside all my ICU peeps, but that's the way life goes, so this is what I'm doing. Um, I've gone through about, oh god, 10, at least 10 different patterns of masks and decided on this one here, and I've had a lot of good feedback from you guys, that friends and family anyway. I've probably made about at least 200. And this is the design that everyone seems to like. I'll flip it on so you can see. So it's 2 layers of cotton and 2 layers of blue filter. It's got adjustable ear loops on it and a snug wire over the nose. Um, it's nice and long this way, so that when you're talking or laughing or carrying on, it's not, you don't see those people that, it's too short this way and they're continually getting it back up over their nose. This doesn't have that issue. So this was obviously my Remembrance Day mask, which is tomorrow. So not making any more of those until, well, hopefully never again. Hopefully next year this is all in our past. But I'm going to go downstairs now. I did this outside because the lighting's so crappy downstairs, and we'll whip up a Christmas day or Christmas holiday mask for us and see what you think. I'll add all the, I'm just being self-conscious because now I can see myself in the reflection. I'll add all the patterns and all the extra little links or whatever I need to do at the bottom of the video, so you can find it there. Stay well, guys. Great talking to you again. Cheers. Okay, so you've cut out 2 pieces each of the outer face and the inner pocket lining, and here they are. They're good side into each other. Get them all lined up, and then you want to sew across the front of the face on each, just a straight stitch across there and there. And through the help of movie magic, I've already done this. And what I like to do before I go any further is, since this is actually, on both of these, is going to be running down from your nose to your chin, from here to here, like when we turn it right side out eventually, and it looks like this. This inner part is going to be against your face. So you like to cut this as tight as you can, just to get rid of the excess there. So that's kind of what I do when at all possible at each step of this. So once I've cut the excess off of each piece, then I'm going to turn the outer mask right side out again. Try and get it as poked out as possible there. And we're going to iron it flat. And had no idea there was so much ironing involved with sewing. So we're just doing that with the outer piece. With the pocket, you're going to keep it inside out for now. And what we're going to do is turn back these edges twice, about a little shy of a centimeter, twice like that. Give it an iron. Same with the other side. Turn it over twice ish. Iron. Very hot. And then we're going to go back to the sewing machine and just put a line, a stitch to keep those in place. Because eventually this is going to be the inside of your mask, and the filter is going to slide in between like this. So that just neatens it up for you. So go over to the sewing machine, give these 2 sides a sew. So I have stitched these 2 edges down that side and down that side, and now I'm going to put the inner and outer mask together good sides against each other. So you're going to slide that over the mask like that. You're going to line up the top across here, roughly. So basically line up your seams like that, and then hold the mask like this all the way across, and you're going to stitch those two together. And I actually start right from here and then go all the way across, get them together, and all the way to the other end again. And you'll see why later. And then you're going to do the same across the bottom. So I've sewn the inner and outer mask together, still inside out. And I did lie over there about starting the stitch from way over here and then all the way across. That it wasn't where I meant to do that. It's not going to hurt, but I'll show you where in a second where you actually want to do that. So what I would normally do when I'm not pressured by the camera is really just start here, go across, start there, go across, get them. So before we turn the mask inside out, once again, I just cut out this little bit excess stuff. This is going to be over the bridge of your nose, so you don't need any of that excess material when you do turn it right side out. So I'm just going to give it a quick trim. And sometimes I don't do the chin as well. You don't really notice it under your chin, I think, as much as you would by your nose, but you can just do that. Just cut out the excess. So now that when we turn it right side in, there's not as much extra material in there. So now ironing comes into play again. You're going to form it in the eventual shape of the mask and kind of curl the outer mask inwards a little bit. I've purposely made these two in and outer materials, contrasting colors, so it was easier for you to see. But sometimes, quite often, like if it was like this, you wouldn't want this outer material showing on the, or this inner material showing on the outside. So you curl it a bit, just like, I don't know, a couple millimeters, and give that an iron down. And then continue that fold right to the edge. Get my hands out of the way, kind of. Right to the edge of the outer material. You're going to fold it in about a 1/2 centimeter and iron it like that. Ditto all the way across. So fold it about 1 centimeter. Iron the outer mask rolled in towards the pocket filter a bit. And this should really kind of line up, this whole thing should line up kind of across there. But if it doesn't, you can fix it just when you put a line of stitching across. So we're going to do that side, and that side. And then we're going to head back to the sewing machine, and now we're going to stitch this all the way across. And across the nose, stitch it as close as you can to the top of the material. And then across the edge. And then ditto across the bottom of the mask. And I'll pick up from the sewing machine and show you what to do after that. Okay, so I have sewn a stitch line across the top and the bottom of the mask. Now I said make it really tight as you can to the top edge over your nose. It doesn't really matter with the bottom. I don't know if you can see the stitching there, but however, basically it's just stopping this mask from rolling like outside to inside kind of thing. But the reason I make it so tight across the top is because you have to put a second line of stitching across, and it has to be just fractionally wider than the width of your nose wire. So I'm going to slide it in like this all the way to the center. So I'm making a sleeve for it by putting another stitch line all the way across. And again, I start from right at the edge and go all the way across, like say about 1/2 centimeter away from your original stitch line. The reason I do that is because if you had a contrasting color on the outside, you can't tell red on red with this one, but sometimes you can see, let's see if I've got one that's obvious. Of course not. Sometimes you can see the stitch on the outside of your mask, so you want it to look even. You want to have like 2 long lines. You don't want to just have something starting right here on the inside of the mask. So I'll do that and get back to you. So I've made my second stitch line all the way across. That's maybe 1/2 centimeter at most away from the top stitch line. And now my flat aluminum nose bridge wire can slip in from either side. And I say either side because it doesn't look like I was far enough away on that one side. And this is the real stressful part. You see how close? Like this almost doesn't fit. But the snugger the better. You get it to the center of your mask, and I just eyeball it. Kind of do this a little bit to get it to the center. And then I want to put 2 little quick stitches here and here to stop it from sliding around in the mask. So I've put 2 little anchor stitches on either side of the nose wire there, just to keep it in place, and it's starting to look like a mask. All we need to do now is open up a bit, do some more ironing. So I fold the edges of the mask, so this is where your ear is going to be, right? Ish, or the ear loops at least. So again, I give it about, as long as you do it equal on both sides, it doesn't really matter. I do about 1 centimeter times 2 folds, and then anchor it down. Get everything all nice and flat. Centimeter fold, keeping it square with here and there, nice and neat. Then I go back to the sewing machine and give that a stitch up there. And this is about the only time, or the first time, that I actually do double stitching. I don't know what it's called when like you go reverse to knot it at the end. Just because there's going to be a lot of pull on this with the ear anchors. So do like a double stitch here and then go across, and then do a little double back and forth and then cross on both sides. So we've done all the sewing that we need to do. We've stitched these 2 sides down, and now I'm going to use this little loopy thing I made, just sort of wire I bent over and taped. This just seemed to be the easier way to do it after 100 attempts a different way. So you put it through, grab your ear loop, and I'll explain what these are in a second. Pull that through. And then I put the little bobble on the end, whatever way works for you. I find if I put them both ends together like this, and I'm sorry the lighting is poor here, but deal with it. My eyes are bad too. So I put these little baubles from I get from either dollar store or Walmart craft area. Don't go to a craft store. It'll cost you an arm and a leg instead of $5,000 for $1. And so I pull them through, and they can either be too fat or too thin depending on how you cut them, but tight is better, so then they don't slip when they're around your ear. So that is your adjustable ear dongle thingy. So I'll do that on the other side, and then I'll explain how I made these things. So this is how I make my adjustable ear dongles. I don't have a better word for them today. I should have thought this out before making the video. But make them in whatever color you like. I've got a lot of black because that ended up being, it just went with every color of material I had. until the household ran out of black t-shirts to use. So I'm going to use red, and it's easier to see on the camera too than black would be. And so you steal whichever kid has more t-shirts to tear up. Cut strips roughly about an inch, and this is the guessing game part, because depending on what size beads that you get, and depending on how thick this cotton is, will determine what thickness. So start at about an inch, like a healthy inch, and cut the shirt all the way across. So I've got this long strip of 1 inch plus material I've got from the t-shirt, go midway. And then you're going to stretch this as much as you will, and t-shirt material will magically curl around itself and become the perfect ear loop. So stretch it really as far as it'll stretch. The more you kind of stretch it out, the better. Get the perfect light here so you can see. And then I cut them into about 12 to 14 inch long pieces for the most part. If I can just get like that t-shirt into 4, whatever that happens to be, is what I use. I find, especially with long hair, the longer these loops, the better. If you're trying to grab behind your ears to adjust them, they're easier to find within all your hair. So you've got, this is enough for 2 masks. Once you thread it through your mask, you thread that through and you put one of those loops on, like I showed you. That's all there is to that, except that it really is a kind of a pain in the butt. If you're making a lot of these, which I have been until your hands are raw, I'll spend an evening making up a whole bunch of these, an evening cutting out all the fabric, and then do maybe like a batch of, say, 5 or 10 masks in a row. Oh, and I'll show you this trick just a second. I'll go back to the machine to show you this. So I don't have a lot pre-cut right now, but once you get the hang of it and you like how you're making the mask and you want to make a bunch, do it in batches. So I've cut say like 5 separate masks and put them all through at once without picking up the machine. So you put that through, put your second one through, this kind of thing. Put your third one through, and then you've got this whole line of pieces sewn together, so you just like do one snip between each of them, and you wouldn't believe how quickly that speeds up your production line. Same with obviously the inner piece. Whatever you can do without lifting this and pulling and cutting and doing everything, do it. And I found that was a way, once I decided that this was the most comfortable version style that I liked, that's how I did it. And just one more thing I can show you from here, I guess, is the filter. So this is 2 layers of cotton, 2 layers of blue shop towel, which I'll add the link. You can do the research yourself. Someone went through a lot of effort to do micron testing and filtering, and found that between coffee filters and plastic bags, or whatever, somewhere between being too permeable and suffocating you, these were the best options. So this always requires a little bit of dexterity and patience and luck. You basically put it in there, wrestle with it for a while, open it up, and then you have this perfect, it's not in there perfectly, I'll grab one that is in there nice and flat. Then you have this perfectly flat filtered, 2 layers of filter, 2 layers of cotton. Bob's your uncle. So I came outside to show you this part because the lighting is so crappy downstairs. And just that this I might have just folded a little tighter to get it just a little bit further away from my ears. But it's fine. Like I think that would just accomplish it being maybe a little bit more snug. Every single one's different when I do it. So nice and snug over the nose, across the face, adjustable. And these dongles aren't quite long enough for long hair because I can't find them right now. Here they are. Tighten them just so that your mask is snug but your ears aren't bent over and looking like a fool. And that's the mask, the KMB mask. Kangaroo Mask Basics by KMB. Cheers.